What if the secret to unstoppable strength isn't in your body, but in the way you think? To think like a warrior, you must clear your mind of noise, refuse to be chained by one path, and uncover the truth of who you are. You must live fully in the present, face fear until it bows before you, and master discipline that bends but never breaks. You must act with passion yet release the outcome, and align thought with action until they flow as one. Think like this, and nothing outside of you can ever control your destiny. Most people approach life already convinced they know enough, already certain of their ways, their truths, their methods. But when the cup is full, nothing new can enter. You cannot learn, you cannot grow, and you cannot expand because your own assumptions block the flow. To think with clarity, you must first become willing to empty yourself. Let go of rigid opinions, let go of the need to always be right, and let go of the pride that clings to knowledge as if it were treasure. Knowledge is not treasure to be hoarded. It is water to be refreshed, flowing freely, always moving, always replenished. A full cup is heavy, it overflows, spilling without use. But an empty cup is ready. It can receive, it can transform. It can adapt to whatever is poured into it. The same is true for the mind. When you approach the world with openness, every experience becomes a lesson. Every encounter becomes a teacher, and every failure becomes an opportunity to refine your understanding. But if your mind is closed, even the greatest wisdom will pass you by unnoticed, like rain sliding off stone. Ego is the greatest enemy of learning. The ego says, I already know, and in that moment growth stops. The ego says, I am better, and in that moment connection is lost. The ego says, I cannot change, and in that moment possibility dies. To empty your cup is not weakness, it is strength. It is the courage to remain a student, no matter how far you have come. It is the humility to admit there is always more to see, always more to refine, always more to become. This emptiness is not a void, it is a space of potential. From it, new thoughts can emerge, new skills can take root, new perspectives can open. Think of the great masters, the innovators, the true leaders. They did not cling to tradition for tradition's sake. They studied it, absorbed it, respected it. But then they let go of what was no longer useful. They emptied their cup to make room for creation. And in that space, they found freedom. To live with an empty cup is to walk through life unburdened, curious, and awake. It is to listen more than you speak, to observe more than you assume, to learn even from those who appear to have nothing to teach. It is to find wisdom not just in books or teachers, but in silence, in struggle, in victory, and even in failure. Do not fear emptiness. Embrace it. Because only when your cup is empty can it be filled again. People often cling to fixed patterns of thinking, as if life will bend to fit their structure. But life does not obey rigid rules. It shifts, it bends, it flows. The mind that insists on staying the same will break when the world demands change. To think with strength, you must learn to be formless, to be water. Water does not fight against the shape it is given. It adapts. In a cup, it becomes the cup. In a river, it becomes the river. When faced with resistance, it crashes. When given space, it flows. This is the way of a mind that cannot be broken. When challenges rise, many people resist with stubbornness. They hold on to old ways, old beliefs, old habits, even when they no longer serve them. But this is not strength. It is fear disguised as pride. True strength is flexibility. True strength is the ability to change form without losing essence. Just as water remains water no matter the shape it takes, you remain yourself no matter how you adapt. Flexibility is not weakness. It is survival. It is growth. It is freedom. A fluid mind does not waste energy on trying to control what cannot be controlled. Instead, it directs its energy toward what can be shaped, What can be guided? What can be transformed? When you are water, obstacles do not stop you. They simply redirect you. A rock in the stream may block part of the current, but the water keeps moving, finding a new path, wearing down the stone with time. So too must your mind learn to flow, to keep moving, never frozen by hardship or resistance. This way of thinking frees you from fear of failure. If one path is blocked, you shift to another. If one method does not work, you create a new one. You stop clinging to a single form, a single plan, a single way of being. You begin to see life as movement, as constant transformation, and instead of resisting, you join it. This is the essence of freedom, the ability to adapt fully, while staying true to your core. When the mind becomes like water, it is no longer trapped by rigidity, no longer held hostage by circumstance. It moves easily through change, calmly through chaos, and powerfully through resistance. And in that flow, you discover that nothing can hold you back. Simplicity is the key to clarity, yet most people bury themselves under layers of complication. They confuse business with progress, complexity with intelligence, and excess with strength. But the truth is, the more you add, the more you scatter your focus, the more you divide your energy, the weaker your mind becomes. To think with power, you must learn to strip away what does not serve you until only what is essential remains. Simplicity is not emptiness, it is precision. The human mind loves to complicate. It creates endless plans, multiple strategies, and countless excuses, all in the name of being prepared. But preparation without simplicity is chaos disguised as order. A sword is effective not because it is heavy or ornate, but because it is sharp and direct. In the same way, your thoughts must be sharpened, not cluttered. The sharp mind sees the target clearly and strikes without hesitation. The cluttered mind hesitates, doubting its own path, drowning in distractions of its own making. This is why simplicity is truth. The truth does not need decoration. It does not need to be wrapped in endless words or complex systems. The truth is straightforward, direct, undeniable. The more you strip away the unnecessary, the closer you come to it. And when your thoughts align with truth, your motivation becomes pure, your actions become decisive, and your spirit becomes free from confusion. Look at the way nature operates. Simple, efficient, direct. The tree does not try to grow in every direction at once. It grows toward the light. The river does not scatter itself across the land. It flows steadily along its course. This is how the mind must operate, not scattered, but focused. The fewer distractions you allow, the more energy you can put into what matters. Living simply is not about having less. It is about being more. It is about removing the noise so your true self can be heard. It is about freeing the mind from clutter so it can focus on what is real. And when your mind finds that still point of clarity, your decisions become lighter, your actions stronger, and your life more powerful. Strip away the unnecessary, and you will see the truth that has been waiting all along. Most people confine themselves within walls built by tradition, systems, or the opinions of others. They cling to one way, one method, one identity, as if following a fixed path will guarantee freedom. But when you bind yourself to only one way, you become a prisoner of that way. To think freely, you must learn to use no way as way. Take from every source, learn from every style, absorb what strengthens you, discard what weakens you, and then shape it into something uniquely your own. Freedom of thought is the essence of mastery. If you limit yourself to a single path, you will forever walk someone else's road. You may move, but you will not arrive at your true self. When you allow yourself to learn widely, you see that truth is not locked in one system, one teacher, or one tradition. It is alive everywhere, waiting for you to grasp it. You must gather it, test it, and refine it until it becomes an expression of who you truly are. The danger of rigid thinking is that it kills creativity. It makes you predictable, stagnant, and fragile when the world changes around you. But a free mind adapts. It is open to new ideas without being enslaved by them, ready to change shape without losing its core. To use no way as to be both student and creator, willing to learn but unwilling to be caged. This is not about rejecting what others have built. It is about refusing to be trapped by it. Respect tradition, but do not worship it. Honor knowledge, but do not cling to it. Take only what empowers your spirit and discard the rest. Then, what remains is pure, your own way, your own truth, your own expression of life. When the mind reaches this freedom, nothing can hold it back. It moves without hesitation, it creates without fear, and it lives without chains. To think with strength, you must first know yourself. Most people spend their lives chasing the outside world. Titles, possessions, recognition, yet remain strangers to their own inner world. They fear silence because silence reveals truth. They avoid reflection because reflection uncovers weakness. But until you face yourself completely, you will always be at the mercy of what lies within you. Self-knowledge is not optional, it is power. When you understand your fears, they can no longer control you. When you acknowledge your weaknesses, they stop being hidden traps and become areas for growth. When you recognize your strengths, you stop doubting and start using them with precision. Most people walk blind, pushed and pulled by emotions they do not understand, by desires they cannot explain, by habits they never question. They believe they are free, but in truth, they are chained by their own ignorance. The mind that seeks self-knowledge does not run from the shadows inside. It looks at them directly. It asks, why am I afraid? Why do I react this way? What do I truly want? These questions are uncomfortable, but they are the doorway to freedom. Once you understand the roots of your own mind, you are no longer a victim of impulse or circumstance. You become the one who chooses, the one who directs. Self-knowledge is not just about looking inward. It is about aligning inward truth with outward action. To know yourself but live in contradiction is to divide your spirit. To know yourself and live in harmony with that knowledge is to become whole. This wholeness gives rise to clarity, calmness, and unshakable strength. When you know yourself, the world outside can test you, challenge you, even attack you, but it cannot shake your foundation. You will not be defined by others' opinions or destroyed by their doubts. You will not be trapped by fear or paralyzed by failure. You will move with certainty because you are rooted in truth, the truth of who you are. The past is a shadow and the future is a dream, yet most people spend their entire lives trapped in both. They drown in regret over what has already happened, or they exhaust themselves with anxiety over what might come. But neither the past nor the future can be touched. They are illusions of the mind. The only place where life truly exists is here, in this moment. To think with strength, you must return again and again to the present, because the present is the only reality. When your mind is fixed on what has been, you chain yourself to memories. You replay old failures, old wounds, old victories, as if living them again will change them. But the past is finished. It can teach you, but it cannot hold you, unless you let it. When your mind is obsessed with the future, you fill it with fears and expectations that may never arrive. You try to control what has not yet taken form, and in doing so, you create suffering that does not exist. The present moment is pure. It is free of regret and free of worry. It is where your strength is born, where your choices take shape, where your actions breathe life into reality. If you train your mind to stay here, each step you take becomes deliberate. Each breath becomes steady. Each thought becomes clear. The world slows down, distractions fall away, and what truly matters reveals itself. This does not mean you ignore the past or neglect the future. You learn from yesterday. You prepare for tomorrow, but you live only today. Just as a fighter cannot throw a punch yesterday or tomorrow, you cannot act in any time but now. The punch is thrown in the moment. The strike lands in the moment. Victory and defeat both exist in the moment. When your mind lives fully here, it becomes calm yet powerful. You stop wasting energy on what cannot be changed or controlled, and you direct all of it into what you can shape now. And in this stillness, in this presence, you find freedom. Fear is the enemy of freedom. It whispers in your mind, convincing you to stay small, to hesitate, to avoid risk. It chains your potential before it even has a chance to breathe. But fear is only powerful when you feed it. The moment you face it directly, its strength begins to fade. To think like a warrior, you must see fear not as a wall, but as a doorway. It is the very path you must walk through to discover your true self. Fear often disguises itself as reason, as caution, as the voice that says, "Not now, maybe later." But the truth is, fear seeks to delay you forever. If you wait until you no longer feel afraid, you will wait a lifetime. The key is not to eliminate fear, but to act in spite of it. Courage is born the moment you take a step forward, while fear is screaming at you to stop. When you confront fear, you learn that most of it is illusion. The scenarios you create in your mind are far worse than reality. You imagine failure as something unbearable, but when it comes, you see it is simply another lesson. You imagine rejection as destruction, but when it arrives, you see it is merely redirection. Fear magnifies shadows, but once you shine the light of action upon them, they shrink into nothing. Fear will always be present. It is part of being human. But the difference lies in how you respond. You can let it dominate your mind, or you can use it as fuel. The surge of energy fear brings can sharpen your awareness, heighten your senses, and prepare you for the moment. If you channel it, fear becomes your ally, not your master. The one who conquers fear does not wait for perfect conditions. He steps forward into the unknown, knowing that life is lived fully only when you dare to face what terrifies you. And in that act of courage, the chains of fear are broken, and the mind becomes truly free. Most people live caught in the endless cycle of striving and clinging, chasing results, clinging to outcomes, measuring their worth by victories or defeats. This attachment breeds suffering. When you become fixated on winning, you grow restless. When you lose, you drown in despair. True mastery of the mind comes when you let go of this need to grasp. To think with clarity, you must act with full commitment while releasing attachment to the result. When you swing the sword, strike with all your heart, but do not cling to whether it cuts or misses. When you take a step, walk with all your strength, but do not chain yourself to where the path may end. When you create, give everything to the creation, but do not enslave yourself to how it will be received. Freedom comes from detachment, because detachment allows you to act without hesitation, without fear, without distraction. Attachment clouds the mind. It makes you cautious when you should be bold, desperate when you should be calm, and anxious when you should be still. But detachment sharpens focus. It lets you place all your energy into the present action, unburdened by worry about what will come after. This is not indifference. It is not that you do not care about results. It is that you understand results are not fully within your control. What is within your control is your effort, your focus, your presence. When you release the need to control the outcome, you discover peace. You realize that victory and defeat are both teachers, that success and failure are both temporary, and that the only lasting truth lies in the purity of your action in the moment. You stop living as a slave to circumstances, and you begin to live as a master of yourself. The mind that lets go becomes light, fluid, and unshakable. It moves freely, unbound by fear of loss or hunger for gain. And in this state of detachment, you find not only clarity, but true freedom.